A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there on planet Earth to my channel, the Twin Flame Union. And this is part 5 of Divine Masculine Quits Addiction as Union Addictions as Union Gets Closer. This is the part 5, and this is a very important part series because addictions are the biggest number one reason of separation between the feminine and the masculine energies. And if the addictions are removed or healed, which are connected to the inner child wounds and trauma, automatically a person will experience free flow of energy from all chakras. Now the divine feminines, as I can ascertain over here, have been working on their part of addictions, which were being mirrored by the divine masculine. Like if the divine feminine has addictions, some sort of psychological addictions or spiritual addictions or food and water consumption, those type of addictions, then the masculine is going to reflect the same addictions but in a different way. Of course, a lot of people feel that it's easier for him because he is with the karmics and he is living his own life, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that living with the karmic itself is a sort of suffering. And you can only understand when you have to live with the karmic. And some of the divine feminines know this, that they actually decide to choose the divine masculine despite all of the issues that have taken place, despite the separation, is because when they hang out with the karmic, they just don't want to take it further. And in case of divine feminines, the karmics are nicer. They are much nicer than what the divine masculine gets as his karmic. But then you would think that why is he sticking with the karmics or the karmic patterns? In some cases, it's not a human being or another person that the divine masculine is with. It could be some of his behavioral issue. It could be some kind of an addiction, like a gaming addiction or a sports addiction or a job addiction or a work profile addiction or just drinking, not doing anything else. These are all very solid addictions. They also stop the divine masculine from coming into union with the feminine. So this is the reason why these needs to be healed. In the first 3 parts, I discussed more about what we consume and why it's important. In the 4th part, I discussed about mental diet and how mental diet is one of the most important components in this ascension journey. So both are very important and both form a bridge between the separation phase and the union phase. The bridge as in the connection of divine masculine and divine feminine. So there has been a discussion between the vegan diet and the vegetarian diet by a lot of people in this journey, in the ascension journey. And though it's very good to be vegan, because the reasons why a lot of people come into veganism is because they see that a lot of animals are being tortured for milk and milk products. Now, there has been this actually was shared with me a couple of weeks ago. So, and then I was raised as a child in a place where cattle was an important part of everyone's family. Like every family has a cattle and they have a big house for the animals where all the cows, buffaloes, the goats, even the chicken, they all have separate spaces to live in winters as well as summers, monsoons. So what I realized is that the food that is being sold in the market today, the processed food, it has a lot of contamination. It has a lot of toxic contamination, and there are many steroids that are added in it. There are many other things that are added in the food which probably should not be good for humans. A lot of food is also genetically engineered and genetically motored, which means that they are not how actually the universe has created. The DNA has been altered in some way or the other. And whenever these things are done, whenever this type of genetic engineering is done in crops, in food, in plants, it's only done from the purpose of profit. It's not done from the perfect purpose of being of good use to someone. So in the coming generations, what the current twin flamers have to do, who ascend, you have to live such a lifestyle that the coming generation that automatically comes in your contact or sees you, or with the energy that you create with your own authentic lifestyle, which is more nature based, which is more people oriented, other people oriented, service oriented rather than being selfish. You can show people your lifestyle, how you live, how you eat, how you drink, all the things you do, and you can be an inspiration for the coming generations. So it's very important to understand that when people live in villages, when they have their own cattle, how is it different from what people in cities do? So basically, for example, a family has a cow and the cow is in the stage where she gives milk. So when you raise an animal like a cow, which is a very compassionate animal, couple of animals are very compassionate and very social. It's actually the dogs and the cows. Both of them are very compassionate, though they have different purposes, though they help in different ways. But both these animals are very compassionate animals. And in many of these scriptures, it is written that these two animals should be given utmost respect and love, because their energy is such. And a cow in India and in the Indian subcontinent, like places like Nepal, the cow is worshipped as a mother. The cow is considered a mother because she gives milk to us. We drink her milk. So automatically she becomes a mother and she becomes someone that we should respect. That is how it used to be. With changing times, things have changed. Now, what the slaughterhouses do is when they create meat products, they kill any animal which is of no use to them. Like for example, the calves. They will kill the calves or the male species, and they just kill them because they feel that it cannot be used in their purpose of meat generation. They are raising cattle only for meat. Whereas what happens in villages, and this example is very important for all of you to understand, to know. Now, whereas in the villages, in the rural areas, not only all animals are important, they have their own role, but even the people have attachment or love or emotional connection with the animals. The bulls, the males of this species, the cows, they are not killed. They are used in farming. So the bulls are employed in the farms. They work in the farms. The cows are, especially with the family, the lady of the house, the cows will give them milk. That milk would be converted into curd, and there would be butter, ghee, all of this would be made out of it. At the same time, they take care of the cows also, when especially the cow is pregnant. And this procedure of taking milk also happened because the cow needs to be relieved of excess milk. Whatever the calf drinks, it's okay, but the production of the milk is so high at that time that she needs to be released. So that's why they used to collect the milk. And when I was a kid, I used to see that in my grandmother's village, there was a lot of caring and sharing. Anything which was of excess or anything which was extra, it was immediately shared with the family. So every day I remember there are times when the cows and buffaloes both are in the milking process. So there is a lot of excess of milk. So they used to make curd lassi, and they used to give it to everyone in the village, like everyone in the whole lane. It's a long lane. It would be sent to all people in the house, in the village houses, whosoever is nearby, not the whole village, because the whole village is very huge. So these type of things, and they would do barter in terms of vegetables. Like if someone has grown more of tomato and the other one has done more of potato, they will exchange it. The one who has tomatoes will give it to the other one for potatoes. So everyone is growing their own crops, and they are also doing barter, and they are also doing exchange. And I saw that the milk obviously is absolutely pure. There is no mixing. No mixing at all. No factory, going to the factory. The cows are healthy. The cows are happy. They get to graze every day. They are given very good quality green grass. In the mountain areas, the grass is very nice. The air is very nice. They go every day on their own to just, graze and go to the riverside, go to the ponds, and they spend their time, and in the evening they come back, and then they live in their own house, which is made only for animals. So I saw these things, at how they were taking care of all the cattle. Everyone was being fed well. The food was very good, very healthy food was given to them, and no killing of animals. Every animal was used in some way or the other, and the animals were also happy because they have a permanent home where they are not tortured. There's no cruelty, there's no artificial insemination, they're not forcefully impregnated, and the mother and the calf are not separated. So these are all the things that you see. And with this love and compassion, whatever food is collected, that is consumed. And I remember they used to have sheep and goat, and they did not just eat the meat of the goats. So one fine day I asked, though they were all non-vegetarians, which is one part I didn't agree with. So I saw the goat being, killed and butchered or whatever, and then the meat was again distributed to all the nearby villagers, because they don't refrigerate any food item. They immediately eat it, and it's fresh and it's finished. But I remember once a goat was attacked by a tiger. It was night time, and a tiger was near the farms, and it attacked the goat, but it did not kill it, as in it did not eat it. It did not take it away. It just attacked the goat and left it over there. So early morning this happened, and immediately my grandmother found out, and then they consumed the meat of that goat. That part was again okay with me, because there was no other way out. But otherwise, as a child, when I saw the animal being killed so badly with all of that pain and screaming, it was very difficult from that point onwards to continue to be a non-vegetarian. So I think that spark of, because when you're raised in a family that eat meats, it becomes very hard for you to take that decision at once. Like, okay, I don't want to eat this. So that was my moment of change. And I think that many others who are in this journey, in the ascension journey, would have probably decided to quit eating meat when they saw the cruelty that happens on the animals. So I'm not saying that. Obviously, I will say one more thing. I do agree with what Buddha had said, but that was only for the monks. For the householders, I think we have so much to eat, and so much good stuff to eat. Good and amazing stuff to eat, that even if we keep experimenting, it would never end. So this was one big thing that came out from the diet part. And from the mental diet perspective, it's very important to keep a tab on your belief system, which are a result of the traumatic experiences that one goes through. Now, this was in part 4, wherein I have mentioned what are the love addictions. Now, love addictions are also very important to understand, because in this journey, one of the person who is most probably the runner or the chaser, can be anyone in this regard, they are the daydreamers, which means that they have this addiction of thinking about that one person constantly. Like 24/7, they are thinking about this one person. And this should not be done by the feminine, because feminine's role is different on planet Earth. So when she constantly starts thinking about the masculine, and she gives up on her personal interests, hobbies, likes and dislikes, and she loses her own personality, because she's constantly thinking about the divine masculine. She puts him on the pedestal, and she starts fearing that she cannot live without him. She needs him to continue her life, and she needs him as a support system. Without his love, she's not gonna be a happy person, and she stops doing what she loves. That is the most important thing to understand. Before the separation is a result of this type of attachment, strong attachment and dependency. And some people also don't want relationships because it is happening spontaneously, but they think that they need a relationship. Their need for being in a relationship is too high. And anything, when there is a need of anything, it will always create suffering. It will always create this dynamic where that you're running after that thing and that thing is running away from you. So both of them have similar thing, which I spoke in part 4. I'll just brief it out. That he thinks that he does not deserve love, he should be with a karmic, and she thinks that though I have found the love, but I have to do a lot, make a lot of efforts to make it stay in my life. I have to keep pleasing that person, even if that means that I have to put my own self on the back burner, that I have to kill my own existence for that. And these are the things like calling, messaging continuously, asking for commitment. A goddess energy never asks for commitment or never asks for anything. She can manifest. She's very confident of the universal laws. She's very well aware of the universal laws. So when she's doing the opposite, he will do what he has to do. And addiction is about constantly daydreaming, not being present. This journey is about faith and about being in the present moment. When you have faith, you enjoy every moment. You don't think that, okay, this will happen if I don't do this, that will happen if I don't do this. You just know what's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. So when the Divine Feminine has completed the inner work, and this is the same inner work which is required to heal all her unhealed, wounded templates. When she does that, when she heals the karmic templates, the karmic patterns, the past wounds, and understanding why those wounds were there in the first place, what's the role in the life path, then the old self that used to live in the fear of separation, that soul will die. And this will happen after dark night of the soul is also complete. These are the stages of Kundalini awakening. And some people call it very difficult, but it's the job of death to show people the real face of fear. Once they see what's the real face of the fear, it can no longer block them. It can no longer give the false beliefs which are otherwise the mental diet of any person, any of such person. They understand that that's just a false belief. It's not real for me. So, awakening phase, this is the awakening phase which is very important. I'm talking about the first time when they meet the DM or they find out that there's something called true love. That is the time after that awakening phase, slowly and gradually, and if not for some too slow, but gradually, the DNA gets fully healed. And then they find out which are the exact places from where the fears are generating. They find out what is the source of suffering. So, Kundalini, she will make sure she's the real mother. She will make sure without any attachment towards the child. Her aim is to make the child live a fully authentic life, minus any fears of survival or existence. So after every dark night of the soul, a fresh new experience is witnessed. A lightness is witnessed. The soul feels that the baggage is gone and there is freedom to be the instrument of the divine. Star seeds, indigos, rainbows, they're all born with higher DNA numbers. So when they are ascending, they cannot function with the unhealed junk DNA, the old self, the wounded inner child. It's all impossible to work in sync with. So, the breakthrough they find, that is what leads to completion in their inner work, in their healing work. So, this inner child, after getting healed, witnesses transformation and begins to lose all the fears. It begins to perceive via their own authentic experience. It starts to know about the truth of the source, truth of you being a soul or them being a soul, and truth of their own gifts and how they should only utilize those gifts. So rebirth is a result of losing addictions. And when I say rebirth, it's also the union, it's also the chakra merge that happens in 5D within the feminine. This rebirth is very important. Though it's a step-by-step process, one has to keep stepping up, but it also has a completion day where a new permanent singular identity is formed. So day by day, with the right type of mental diet, day by day, the individual starts going through the journey of transformation. So as I said earlier, addictions can be mental, physical. Now, our whole life is basically a projection of our inner world. It's a hologram of our inner subconscious state. But there is a gap between conscious and subconscious mind, and that gap leads to separation between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. This is the same separation that leads to duality and polarity. So, from that perspective, in the twin flame journey specifically, we need the addictions to go away so that we can live like a true nature scientist who studies their own mind while treading on the ascension journey. So Kundalini and Shushmana, they get free flow energy which is generated from the solar plexus, the third chakra, the sound of which is Ram. Now, the split between the two nadis, the nadis are called Ingla and Pingla. This all comes from the sacred text knowledge, the knowledge of Ayurveda, the knowledge of Vedas. It has all of this. And obviously, this is the study of mind in a more spiritualistic way. So, Ingla and Pingla